y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden, and today I'm excited to show you all of the ins and outs of my garden journal and planner. So I've gotten a lot of questions about my very bright yellow planner. I think it's really easy for y'all to see it in the videos. I am constantly writing in it and I refer to notes in it, and a lot of people have asked, hey, can you go over that? Can you show us what all is going on in there? Because maybe it'll help us, maybe we can do something similar. So I definitely wanted to take the time to go through this video and just kind of show you all what all is going on in my journal. Now, I tend to refer to this more as a journal than a planner. However, I do a ton of planning in it. I really think that journaling it's not personal journaling, it's just garden journaling in it. And I think one of the other reasons I kind of consider it more of a journal is because I draw and I also like put stickers and other things in it. So it kind of has that kind of journal feel to it for me. Now, a lot of people ask, like, why do you journal? Like, why would you have like a garden journal or, you know, a planner of some type? It really does help with organization. And when I say organization, I don't want to freak anybody out and make you think that I'm one of those people who's like extremely highly organized, where I am just documenting every single tiny little step. I'm not. This is just kind of like a general organization for me. I think with a lot of today's planners and journals, you can make them what you want. So if you want to be highly organized, where you dictate every single thing you're doing in the garden every day, you can totally do that. Or if you're more like me and you want to have some monthly and quarterly goals and you want to jot down some notes and it's some general organizing, but it's not like an absolute day-to-day, I think you can do that too. So I think that's one thing to consider with the planner / journal is it's great for organization, but your level of organization can be from, you know, simple all the way up to very detailed. Another reason I really like having a garden journal and a planner is for reference, because I am writing in this on particular days. I always date where I'm doing all my writing, and I write about particular plants or issues I've had, successes and failures, what I bought and where. I use it for a lot of different things, so it's really great reference to go back to, because I am not very good at labeling my plants out in the garden. I quite frequently forget what I planted where, so this is a really great reference for me. Quite frequently I can envision the plant but can't remember the name. I mean, there's just lots of different things. There's a lot going on in my head. And so I feel like this gives me a little bit of reference that I can just glance back through it and be like, oh, okay, yeah, that works for me. And then I write all the reference for myself. So I write it in like Amanda terms. And so that also is easier for me to refer back because I write it like in bullet points, which works really well for my brain. And then the last big reason I really love having a gardening journal / planner is celebration or celebrating. I feel like every time I write in this journal or in this planner, it is, even if it's a fail, it's still a celebration of what I've been working on and achieving and working towards and working through. So I love that idea, even if I'm just, you know, writing about a particular plant or how I had all my tulips recently failed. You know, y'all might have saw that in the last video. Writing about it, writing about why, and then document it in here gives me a sense of accomplishment and in celebration. And I think that that is really important for a gardener, because gardening is not a simple, easy hobby. It is a journey. It is quite the journey. Whether you're a beginner or whether you've been doing this for 30 years, every single year with gardening is a little bit different. You have different experiences, you have different thoughts and feelings, the environment's different, your garden's constantly changing, there's a lot going on. So it's this long journey. So documenting aspects of this journey along the way, even if it's something as simple as bullet points, is a really great way to celebrate and like see all of this together, see the celebration of it. Okay, so let's start with the basics. How did I get into journaling and planning? Well, some of y'all probably know, but most of y'all probably don't, that my younger sister, Elisa, has her own YouTube channel, and she started her YouTube channel a couple of years prior to me. And Elisa is not a gardener. She does planning, journaling, Bible journaling, crafts, craft organization. She's just really focused in those areas. Her platform is far larger than my platform. We look very similar. However, she is always beautifully put together, or she would be on this side of the video. I'm putting up her picture. She is always beautifully put together, hair done, makeup done, loves bright, beautiful colors, obsessed with all that. And she is wonderful with organization. But the best thing about her being wonderful with organization is she is really good at teaching about organization, especially in your planners and journals. So I've been watching her for several years doing all of these planners and journals. And for a long time, I was just like, yeah, that's not for me. Like I can't be that highly detailed. It's not who I am. My brain doesn't work like hers. And it wasn't really until like the last year or so that she kept being like, Amanda, why do you think that you have to plan or journal in a very particular way? And I was like, I don't know. I just assumed that there's only one way to do it. And she really started talking to me about how you really make these journals and planners, you make it into what works for you. They don't have to be so set and so regulated with so many rules and ways to do things. You make these work for the way that you want to use them. And I think that was really good for me to hear because it allowed me to let go of a couple of things. It allowed me to let go of guilt of not using every single page of my planner and not using it the exact way that it's been formatted to use. It also just gave me freedom. It gave me freedom of creativity and freedom of flexibility and adaptability for my planner and my journal. And I know it sounds silly that I would need to hear that, but you know, my sister is literally a professional at these planners and journals. And so hearing it from her, and for someone who is highly regulated and highly detailed, and hearing her say that, no, you don't have to do it that way. You can do what works best for you. I really needed to hear that. And so once we really started getting into that, well, then basically I was there for a visit. She's in Virginia. I'm in Texas. I was there for a visit, and we ended up going, and I picked out a planner, and then she started talking to me about how to use them. So couple of things. First of all, this planner that I use is called a Happy Planner. It is part of the Happy Planner line. So there's not just like one yellow planner or something. There's a lot of different varieties. And basically, Happy Planners are part of like a disc kind of planning situation. So basically the idea is in here, it's got, let me pull this out. In here, the planner has a set of discs, and this is how the planner is bound. And with these discs, it allows you to remove and add pages very easily to the planner. So, and I literally just come in here and I just pop them in, right? Super simple and easy. And it allows you, by being able to use these discs in the center and add and remove pages, it allows you to basically customize the planner to what your needs are and what works best for you. So I think that like you could put my sister's current planner and journal right beside mine, and they would have completely different setups, writing, approaches, everything. And so that's one of the things that's really cool about Happy Planners, that you can change it out to fit what works best for you. Tons of people sell stuff for Happy Planners. The big thing is just to make sure that it's a disc system, so that you have these little discs in the center and you can add and remove pages as needed. Not one of those like old school like pop open binder situations. This is a different approach. This is also called Franken planning. I believe that's it. Meaning like Frankenstein, you take and add different parts and create what you want. So it's kind of referred to as that as well. Now, when I first started with with Happy Planner, I went to the store and I bought a set of inserts for the Happy Planner, and they were like for 2023. And so I was kind of like really like forced to follow this like 2023 guidelines, and it had just very, very specific, very in the box forced requirements. And so they didn't really work very well for gardening. And I began mentioning it to my sister about how it just kind of like, even the ones that were supposed to be from gardeners, it's like they weren't created by a gardener. It's like somebody who didn't do gardening created them. So they didn't make sense for what my needs are or how I approach things. So I started talking to my sister, and my sister, she started her own line of inserts that she put into these disc systems. She started her own line at the end of 2023, and I started talking to her, and I was like, hey, so can you make me some inserts that work well for what my needs are? And she's like, sure. So we started working on that and collaborating on that. It was really, really fun because all I got to do is tell her the ideas and she had to do all the work. Sisterly fun. I got to tell her what I needed, what I wanted. She would send me just templates of what they looked like, and then I would suggest changes, and we kind of went through that and it ended up working out really good. And then so she sent me the inserts, and then I started using the inserts. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to bring the camera over and going to put it over the planner today. And we're going to go through some of the pages. I'm going to talk about some of the inserts. I'm going to talk about some of the different ways that I use my planner. Okay, so basically here's the cover. You buy the cover separately. And then you have like the inserts that go in with the binding system and such. And so talking to my sister, she basically created a package of inserts that are specific for gardening for me. So like one of the first ones I keep on the front is a yearly garden overview, just different things and goals and ideas that I have for each month. I don't work like super far ahead. Like I don't go and fill out my entire year. However, I bet that there are some gardeners that this would work beautifully. They would want to fill out their entire year in January, right? All of their goals for all the months. For me, my goals are constantly changing and evolving. So it's really at the beginning of March, I just came in here and I did all my goals. And then at the beginning of April, I'll go in there and do the same thing. Just basically a few ideas and thoughts. If I'm like, oh, hey, I need to do, I need to start seeds for fall seed starting, I could go ahead and put that in July if I wanted. I tend to write in pen, and that does not bother me. However, if you're someone who's looking for perfection, you might consider writing in pencil instead, so that when you make, when you make mistakes, like I spelled greenhouse wrong, it's not all messed up in the page. And then it also includes, her set also includes the quarterly garden plan, which is a little bit more detailed. So I go through and I have a little bit more space for notes on each of the months. And then I can see a layout for the first 3 months, and then the second 3 months and third 3 months. And this works really well because this actually is seasons for me, right? Like this is winter into beginning of the spring. And then this next part is spring into summer. This is hot, 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 hot time. And then at the end, we have fall back into winter. So this works really well to lay out my quarterly gardening plans, just so I can take a look and a glance at them, especially if I'm working on something, maybe I've been really involved in a project for a while and I've kind of forgotten about other things. This allows me to reference back, make sure that I'm staying on track with whatever my goals are for that particular quarter. Now, I also have a setup where it's a month by month, and this basically, I list all my goals in my month by month. I go up, and I love that this portion is not pre-numbered for me. So it's not pre-numbered for March 2024, right? It's all open. I added all the numbers myself. I love that because what if I have a rough month and I don't do much on this, right? And then I just have like a wasted page because it's only good for March 2024. This allows me more flexibility. I can use these pages for longer and adapt them to what I need. So, if for some reason I decided I'm not doing much gardening in July, I can just skip that month and go ahead and have, an extra blank page for next year. But typically what I do for the month layouts is I write any important dates I'm going to be out of town. Like I've got spring break on here. I also like to reference important dates. Like I already have my last frost date referenced on here. Just different things like that. Like if you have an order of plants that'll be arriving at a certain time, or if you have like a mulch drop coming, or you have stuff that's going to be planted, things along those lines. So I typically have it set up with those particular dates. And then at the end of the month, it gives me a place to be like, what went well, what did not go so well, what can be improved, what am I preparing for next month, just as a reflection for the month. And also this is excellent reference for the future. And then so on the back of those pages, It has grid paper, which I love because I typically will continue additional notes. I might write the plants that I want to add or did add, or plants that died and didn't do well. Maybe I do drawings for a particular area of the garden that I'm working on, or I can even draw out a layout and reference where I've planted new plants, which works beautifully. So the insert also includes some garden journaling portions that's specifically for recording what types of plants I'm adding to my garden. Like this one right here is the leopard plant. I wrote up top that's in the shade garden. I think it's important for my garden, even though my garden's small, I do like to reference like where, like what part of the garden it's in. Back garden, side garden, front garden, shade garden, whichever one. And then it allows me to go and jot down some quick information about the particular new plant I added, what day I planted it, when it blooms, what fertilizer I use, if there's any pests that I need to be aware of. This allows me a very quick reference if something's going wrong with this plant or if I have questions and thoughts about this plant. So there's multiple pages for that. And then on the back, you can even draw out your layout of where you have planted that plant just so you have that particular reference or keep notes. So lots of pages for that anytime that I want to add new ones. Now this next portion is a weather tracking portion. I haven't started this one yet, but I love the idea of it that I could literally just go in here and on days that it rains, I could put in rain. On days that it's 100 plus, I could put that in. I love the idea of being able to track that and then be able to reference it from year to year so that I'm remembering that, like, you know, hey, in February we had a 90 degree day at the end of February. I always think that February is nice and cold when in reality in my area, the last 2 weeks of February are actually very warm. So I love the idea of being able to reference weather tracking here as well. Okay, so next we get to like the month by month. So I have it divided. I just have these dividers. These aren't through my sister. These are just some that you can order online. So I have like January, February, and March. So let's look a little bit at like March. Okay, so in each month I have a seedling starts page, and this one actually references the very end of February, but it allows me to do the dates that I started the seeds, the type of seeds, the brand, and then I can also do transplant dates, or if I had any notes, like if I had a failure, I can have a failure and what I think the failure was. And what I love about this is that I keep it all in chronological order and allows me to refer back next year. So I already know that next year, hey, this is when I started these seeds. And maybe one of my notes is I should have started it sooner, right? And so now I know to reference next year to go back, and it will help with my planning year to year. And so I really like this thought process and idea of being able to record these in your planner so you can reference it at any point. But lots of space for seedling starts. I also have a habit tracker, which I actually love habit trackers. I think they're really fun. I actually have a bullet journal that I keep separate that's more personal goals. This one is a habit tracker for in the garden. So it's check on the garden, water plants, check seeds, water seeds, and photos, which apparently I spelled photos wrong. I'm just not noticing that spelling apparently is not my forte, y'all. And then I can just see checks going around then. I like this just because it keeps me engaged, right? At the end of the day, I can just go do these checks. It literally takes 15 seconds. And I know what I accomplished that day on my garden, and then I can reference back to it, this is another celebration, right? This is like, as I'm going through and completing this is a celebration of what I have achieved, basics that I've achieved in the garden, which I absolutely love. This also has a plant savings jar. I haven't started this yet because I'm not very organized with my savings at this point in time. But I would love in the future to have, like, you know, saving for Japanese maple and have my amounts that you could save up through the jar, which I think would be super cute and fun. Now, this is what I use a lot. I use a lot of lined paper, basic lined paper, and I go through and I write out a lot of information. So this right here is actually the reference for today's video. I go my title, my date. I talk about bullet points and ideas and thoughts that I want to have, and I really like that. So let me go back to February, where you can see that I do, like, these are all my notes for February, like just going through this. I talk about each of my videos, and then I make additional notes on, you know, thoughts, ideas. Usually any of the ones that you see that aren't on perfectly on the lines like these are my additions as I've been going through or have last minute additions I want to make. I always kind of write them on the side and separate. So I'm like, oh, hey, that was an important note I need to make. And I reference and I go and I talk about each of the different plants that I'm starting. And it looks like this would take a lot of time, y'all. It doesn't take nearly as much time as you think. I literally do this while I'm sitting down in the evenings watching a little TV with my husband, and I do some writing out. I really enjoy it. A lot of people have commented how pretty my handwriting is, and I appreciate that. Just so y'all know, when I started journaling over a year ago, my handwriting was a hot mess because literally I was used to typing all the time. And so my hands weren't strong in the way that I needed. So it's taken a little while to get that handwriting going in the right direction. And my sister will tell you that as well. Elisa has always been known all growing up with that she has the worst handwriting. And I'm sure she's going to be rolling her eyes that I made this comment, that she has the worst handwriting. And she has, over the years, her handwriting has improved so much that sometimes I don't even recognize it anymore, which makes me laugh. My daughter Ivy actually has her aunt's handwriting. She writes like Elisa did when Elisa was younger, so it's really funny. But your handwriting will improve over time if you're handwriting. And there is something so therapeutic and peaceful about handwriting something as opposed to typing, because like I keep a list of stuff on my cell phone for quick references, but something about writing it down and this like ownership of it is just really endearing and therapeutic to my soul, and I absolutely love it. Now I do add stickers and such. I usually get my stickers from Temu because they're really cheap, and I tend to focus on flowers, which I'm sure y'all aren't surprised. And I also, you can see that I write my ideas and thoughts in bullets. So I never just have like a full paragraph or anything like that. I write it in different sections, always a title telling what the section is about, and then bullet points as well. So then I've got the dividers, dividing it up per month, which is really nice. So like, when I'm ready for April, it already has my habit tracker like ready to go in here. And because these are all so flexible, if my seed's starting, if I don't want to keep it always in February, I can just, pull the page out and move it to March and just pop it right in. It's literally that easy. So, and then we're in, which works really great. Yeah, so that's the basic, rundown of what my planner looks like. I also use, I talked a little bit up, so I also use a lot of my sister's lined filler paper. This is one of my favorite things to use. And then I also like a dotted grid paper, which works really good for drawing, for taking notes, for writing out ideas. This is also really good for any of your plant tags. So if you have a plant tag, let me see if I can find one of mine. And of course I won't be able to find a plant tag. But what you can do is if you have an empty seed, a container, and you're like, I want to make notes about this, you can actually come in and staple it to the page and then write out beside anything you want to know. Like this Constelluto Genovese was a 0% germination. And so that was super disappointing. But I can also make reference of like, hey, I started on this day, 0% germination, maybe speak to the company next year prior to purchasing this particular variety seed. And then I can also reference, I heard from this person, this person, and this person, none of their Constelluto Genovese tomato seeds germinated either. But it allows you to just kind of staple or tape these in here, which is really nice and a good reference for future years. It's also a really good reference. You could have a whole section of seeds that you're out of. So once your seed packet is empty, you put it, just tape it or staple it into place. And then when it's time to go for seed orders, you've got all the seeds in one location that you need to order. That works great too. And I've bought gardening journals before. Like I've bought them at the store, right? And some of them are so overly detailed that it makes me cringe up, right? Because what if I didn't fill it out right, or it's all dated in a certain way that if I miss 2 weeks, then I feel dumb because there's this big gap in it and it feels incomplete. There's something about it that drives me crazy. So I love this idea that there's no dates on here. Like you just add in the things that you want when you want, and you kind of adapt it to what your needs are. And I guess that's probably one of the most important things for me, because like I said, I don't fit in a box. My needs don't fit in a box. And I believe that about pretty much every gardener, because guys, I talk all the time about how it's your garden, your space, your environment, your needs. All of us are going to garden differently. I'm not real big on like hard, fast rules for gardening. And I feel the same way about planning. This was almost kind of a collaboration of two different viewpoints into the same idea for these gardening sheets. My need for flexibility and to be able to adapt these to my needs, my sister's viewpoint of being highly organized, but in a really visual and attractive way. So being able to mesh the two of those together was super fun. It was really, really fun. And that's why I was holding out a long time on my garden planner, because I didn't want to share it with y'all until I was able to share all the information of what my sister created for me. Now, she's created for me. You can also go get these from my sister's store. I'm not earning anything from my sister. She's giving me no commission whatsoever. Elisa. No, I'm just kidding. It's no big deal. I got something because I got it to adapt to my total needs. You can actually check out my sister's YouTube channel. It is called Scrappy Wife. I'm going to put the website down below if you're interested in ordering this garden set. You can also get other things from her. You can get the dotted grid paper. You can get the lined filler paper. These are my two favorite things to have. She doesn't have everything. Like, you can't buy like the whole Happy Planner setup from her. You can get those on Amazon, or they are for sale at Michael's. I'm not sure who else carries them because I just purchased mine from Michael's. That's what works best for me. You can buy them online directly through Happy Planner. But so like the overall setup you would buy separately, but the inserts for my sister specifically for gardening are going to be on her website, which is going to be in the description, video description below. Yes, this totally is a promotion for my sister, but also it's my sister and she made these specific for my gardening needs. So I feel good about this promotion because it literally was made like with my thought process in mind. And I know a lot of y'all think similar or will be able to adapt these for yourself. But it has definitely taken my garden to the next level, and it's definitely taking my YouTube videos to the next level too. Flexibility and adaptability, I think, is the most important aspect of having a garden journal or planner. Make it for what works best for you, adjust it for your needs, and do what you want in the planner. All right, you all, I hope that was okay. I always feel weird promoting products, but it's different when it's my sister. Y'all know me, I don't promote products. I don't get kickbacks from selling products. So I feel that that gives me a more genuine aspect and thought process regarding different products. Because I'm not getting anything back when I tell you my favorite seed companies or my favorite soil or my favorite nurseries or my favorite planning direction. For this, I feel really adamant about this setup because I literally helped design it with my sisters. So it fits a lot of my needs, and I hope it will fit a lot of your needs as well. All right, if you made it to the end of the video and you are interested in any of these products from my sister Elisa, specifically the Scrappy Wife, I think her full name is The Secret Life of the Scrappy Wife. I will put her website down below, and I will put a link down in the video description. Check it out. Be sure if you go over and check out her YouTube, tell her your sister Amanda sent us over, tell her I said hey, and tell her that you heard she has really bad handwriting. I really appreciate that. All right, y'all, as always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Every time you like and comment, it helps grow my channel so much. But more than anything, I just really enjoy because you guys are the people I talk to all day. So I really appreciate all your comments. And be sure to check me out on my social media, including Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.